So, um, I've decided to talk a little about religion because I have some interesting views on that, I think. Uh, a lot of people think that religion and science have to be in conflict, but I don't believe that to be true. Sorry if this video is dark. I intended to do this much earlier, but it was still 98 degrees at 6 o'clock in Texas, so it is what it is. Smoking a pipe's a lot of work. I prefer cigars normally, but so I think God created the universe. We have this wonderful playground. And science, I think, is exploring the playground and determining the rules by which we exist in God's universe. Historically speaking, some of the most brilliant scientific minds were actually clergy or Christians that were in no way, shape, or form of the idea that what they were doing was in conflict with God. Now, my thought process on that is a lot of people say, well, you can't have God and the Big Bang together. Why the hell can't you? Realistically speaking, imagine 2,000 years ago, your God, or even 3,000 years ago, the story of creation, how long ago was that? 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, it doesn't matter. It's almost entirely irrelevant. That many thousands of years ago, you're God and you're trying to explain the Big Bang to a bunch of tribal sheep herders that happen to be Hebrews or Israelites or Jews or whatever you want to call them. It's really doesn't matter. None of them even have the remotest foggy understanding of quantum physics. And so trying to explain all of this to them, the best you could do, realistically speaking, would be to say, hey, it took me 6 days to create the heavens and the earth and all of this stuff, and I rested on the seventh day. Because beyond that, what are they going to understand? This is much easier with two hands, to be honest with you. But there we go. All right. And so you're explaining to these tribal sheep herders the Big Bang. And, there may have even been more detail, for all we know, than what they wrote down. Hypothetically speaking, we weren't there. There's no way to verify that. Hypothetically speaking, God could have explained the Big Bang to these tribal sheep herders. And they might have said, yeah, all about all that. Nobody's going to believe us if we tell them that this is what happened. So let's make something up. Hypothetically speaking, that's a plausible reality. So then you have essentially a conflict that is unresolvable because it's unknowable. If the story of creation is actually the story of the Big Bang, but it was fudged because either God didn't think that tribal sheep herders could understand quantum physics, which is probably a valid point, or quantum sheep herders heard quantum physics and couldn't understand it and said, nobody's going to believe that crap, write this down, then at that point, you have to wonder, is it hypothetically possible that science and religion don't actually conflict at all? And I actually am of the firm belief that if we follow science to the very end of wherever that path is going to take us, I feel like ultimately it will prove the existence of God. And you could sit and say universe, multiverse, whatever, however, six of one, half dozen of the other. It's really, it is. So you can sit and make whatever arguments about what exists, and it doesn't matter, because if God created it, He created all of it. So not just this section or that section or whatever. But the big thing about all of that is, ultimately, what it boils down to is that science and religion don't have to conflict at all. And in fact, I think they will ultimately prove each other to be accurate. Science is just exploring the rules by which we have to play in this playground. And religion is believing in a higher power that created it. And so, anyway. Autistic thoughts at 9 o'clock at night.